Welcome to the ObstacleDominator.com podcast featuring Benny Gifford and Bracken Crocker. Whether you want to dominate your next obstacle race or just get started in obstacle racing, you're about to discover every tactic you need to know, from gear to training to nutrition. Get the latest tips from the trenches, get your questions answered, and show up at your next obstacle race ready to dominate. And now, here's Benny and Bracken.
Obstacle Dominator Nation, we are live here with a little bit of a shakeup this week. Sweet Benny sent a guest and I a message about 20 minutes ago and then disappeared off the face of the earth. And he called me, he video chatted me in between vomits. He's throwing up explosively right now. So not only is the Obstacle Dominator podcast hanging by a thread right now, but his race this weekend, stop 2 of the Stadion series from Spartan, is now in jeopardy. And if you can't go to that, he is out of the running for the points. That is the downside of not having one throwaway race.
Helps me, actually.
It does help you. So with no further ado, let's talk about who you are. This is Robert Muzikowski, also known as Bo. He is a stadium racer extraordinaire, currently sitting 11th in the point series. He did what I did. 1 week out before a city field race, we both pulled hammies, and his was a bit worse than mine. I recovered a little better by the time the race started, and he was a little bit more hamstrung by it, just for throwing puns around. So finished outside the top 10. Was that the first time ever in a stadium race you've been outside top 10?
I missed the spear once, and I was 11th.
Yeah.
Low once last year, but I'm usually top 10.
So it takes something strange to kick you out of there. So anyways, Bo and I are both more of the lovers of the stadium, both getting ready to race here in just a few days, and both missing our sweet Benny. So Benny, if you're out here listening later on, get well. I hope you race this weekend.
Yes, sir.
All right, so go ahead.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on. I feel like we're going to introduce you to the greater OCR population tonight. The people who do stadiums obviously know who you are, and people in the Midwest know who you are, being a Chicago-based athlete. But the Spartan Nation, OCR Nation, I wouldn't say that you're on the collective population's radar.
Not yet. So excited to be here. Amen.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So right before we started rolling, you and I were talking about how I got involved with this. And we were talking about Hunter, and you said, yeah, he must be busy doing his CrossFit stuff. So, and then we started chatting about CrossFit, and it brought up a conversation that I've had with a lot of people, and most people don't share the same point of view that I have. And I think you do share it. And that is, if Hunter can get wild carded into the games, can he be successful there?
Absolutely. And I don't know Hunter personally, but I follow him on Instagram, and I've seen enough of his skills and attributes that it's almost a no-brainer. I looked at the 10 events from last year, and the first one was a 3-mile run in rugged terrain, which is essentially a Spartan race with no obstacles. That's a win. The Murph, that's an easy win for a Spartan racer who can do pull-ups with a weight vest on. And I mean, a couple other burpee circuit type exercises.
I think that might have been the previous year's events.
Really?
Last year, I don't believe they did Murph, did they?
Okay, so I'm thinking 2017. My bad.
Because last year they did cyclocross, I believe.
Okay.
Mountain bike.
Sure.
And Hunter wins that. He's the strongest biker in the field. And they did the a literal obstacle course. They had to do prelims and finals on that. And Hunter wins that.
Mm-hmm.
Not even close.
Yeah. And not only that, like
anything running, cycling, swimming. There's one of the events in a CrossFit Games has been a rowing marathon. They had to row 26.2 miles. Hunter wins that. Like he'll never do well at regionals or in the open. And by well, I mean well enough to get into the games, because he's so far behind on the Olympic lifting that from a lot of these guys who have a huge background.
And being
But
tall doesn't help on those that much
no,
either.
no, he's just going to run out of power on the lifts. He's going to run out of weight. But the CrossFit Games is not the open. It's not
Yes.
what regionals is.
It's on TV, and they want well-rounded events that will attract viewers, but embody what CrossFit is and hit every single area, just not 10 times.
Right. The CrossFit Open tests who the best CrossFitter is. The CrossFit Games test who is the best well-rounded CrossFit athlete.
Yeah, and I think someone like
I don't
that.
think they'd want Hunter there.
Yeah, someone like Hunter, he has a big following. As long as he doesn't completely crap the bed in snatches or clean and jerks or whatever that side of the event is, he'll be fine. Get enough points to maintain and then win 3 or 4 events, and you're top 5 at the CrossFit Games, top 10 for sure.
I think he could realistically win 3 to 6 events, and that's crazy. Now he might get, he might not hit minimum work requirement in a few others, which means he can't win the games, but he could realistically go top 5 and possibly, depending on the events that are there, actually podium at the games, despite having nowhere near the Olympic lifting pedigree of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, and that would go for, and I'm not quite as fast as Hunter, even you, but I could win 1 or 2 events at the CrossFit Games. From what I've seen, maybe that's overdoing.
No, but I mean, you would win the cycling, you'd win anything running based. They've done triathlons in the past, you'd win that. And there's a ton of athletes out there who could all say that.
It'd be easy. So
but he can do the strength sections. He could do a Murph. He could do a lot of these CrossFit workouts that actually involved real lifting, and he can do those at a level that a lot of these guys can. He's going to get destroyed on heavy lifts, and he'll balance it out by actually winning events. And even if he does crap the bed and do terrible at some of this stuff, they don't have people who win multiple events other than the top guys.
It would be great for the sport, right? You would get OCR people going over there who aren't smart. You've seen him on Steve Austin's show. You've seen him on Broken $1 Million Mile now. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I hope he gets a wild card.
He's overqualified.
Can you think of a time that you've had people win multiple, like 2 or more events in the CrossFit Games who were not like in contention to be top 5 in the overall games?
No, you see like a swimmer or water polo player win a swimming event, and that's about it. And
but he could win multiple.
I don't follow CrossFit that closely, but that's literally all I can think of.
Yeah, sometimes people pop in for one, just a spot win, and then they're not seen in the top 5 in any other event. But he could win multiple, and it would be kind of cool to watch. And
that's the beauty of OCR, right? And there's a lot of things you can be good at. It's a jack of all trades, which is how I got into the sport, which is a huge part of my life.
So let's take it back then. Let's go back to the beginning of Bo. Okay. And let's, like I said, we're introducing you to the OCR masses now. So let's give them a full, well-rounded picture of who you are. So it's like, you're not the OCR athlete. You're not the track runner. You're a combination of many things. Let's start back in Chicago. Start back at the beginning for me.
Yeah, sure. So born and raised right in the city of Chicago. For anyone who knows the city, Little Italy. Grew up playing all sports. My dad did a lot of inner city kids ministry, started baseball league, started a high school. So I was always involved in the things he started.
I thought this would come up later.
Okay.
But let's just get to it now. Your dad is the movie Hardball.
Correct. So loosely based, but he moved to Chicago and founded a baseball league 1 year after he moved here because he ran by a couple of empty fields in Cabrini Green, which is one of the roughest neighborhoods in Chicago. And him and his buddies started playing catch with a couple kids, put a sign up, and that Saturday, 300 kids came. They thought they'd get 15. 300 kids showed up the first day, and that was the start of the biggest inner city Little League in the United States. So by the time that was in 91, about 2000 at the peak of the league, there were 64 teams in the heart of inner city Chicago, underserved community, really just going at it, playing baseball. So he's really helped thousands of kids, and they made the movie Hardball about the league that my dad founded. So Hardball came out maybe 2002. Anyone in their late 20s, early 30s who played sports growing up has seen it.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves
Reeves
played your dad. Is that strange to say out loud?
Yeah, a little bit. So Keanu Reeves played my dad in the movie, who was the real coach of that team, who coached the team where a kid did pass away. Ooh, what happened here?
You're good on my end.
Okay, I went off for a second. A kid passed away. My dad spoke at the funeral, and that's just a microcosm of what the league was as a whole. And from that league, he started a high school because he could only do so much with kids 2 months of the year, 2 days a week, 2-3 hours a day. But if you get a kid for 9 months, 8 hours a day, you can really make a difference in their lives. So in 2005, he started a high school for the kids in the league. And Chicago Hope Academy is the name. It's a private school where they have a lot of creative ways to fund it. And it's been going strong for 14 years. Me and some of my siblings were the guinea pigs. I turned out okay. And that's kind of a little backstory on my family. Athletically, we were all homeschooled, me and my 7 siblings. So there's 8 of us. And my mom, we were involved in swimming, water polo, soccer, baseball, but she would kick us out of the house from 12 to 1 every single day because she could only handle us for so long, and force us to run 3 miles. And when we ran 3 miles, we could come back. And so
that wouldn't necessarily fly in other areas of the country.
No, I mean, she would say, go to the park 2 blocks away. The lap around the park was a third of a mile. We'd run 9 laps and come back. And we were all pretty competitive, so we would tell on each other if we didn't do it. So it was everyone had to complete it. And because of that, all 3 boys ran in college. One of my sisters ran in college, and 2 of my sisters played sports in college as well. So all of us really took that to heart, and we ran USATF, AAU, nationals. We were pretty good, not great. Kind of peaked in 8th grade. I ran for the York Dukes for a summer. York's probably the best high school cross-country program in the nation historically. They've won like 27 of the last 50 state titles. And I broke the 5-minute mile in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And leading into freshman year, didn't break it again until my junior year of high school because I went to a new school. We didn't really have a track program. And then was playing 5-6 sports, did well enough to get a preferred walk-on spot at Columbia University, where I went to college. I was on the team. I never raced for a semester. I had 2 or 3 stress fractures in a row. And then I quit. I joined a bunch of intramurals. I joined the practice squad for the basketball team, where I'd guard the varsity guys for 2-3 hours twice a week. And then I would play offense against the girls on Thursdays. And my senior year of college, I signed up for the 2013 Stadium City race, the City Field Stadium race. And I got like 8th or 9th place. And I was like, I can get pretty good at these. And I went on to win the Spartan Stadium Series in 2015 because you didn't do enough races.
Hey, don't qualify. You won the series.
I won the series, but I never won a race. So I've gotten 2nd or 3rd place at 9 or 10 races. So I have about 10 podiums, but no first places. And I've been doing Spartan for the last 6 years now. It's been great.
So you have one of the most, I don't want to say random, but atypical like progressions through life of anyone I've ever met. So you start off in inner city Chicago. Correct. And right off the bat, you are what I have to assume is probably one of the only white kids in your school.
Correct.
On top of that, you are a standout distance runner, which, you talk about the AAU and the USATF running circuit. in any major city, especially inner city Chicago, it's comprised of the sprints.
Correct.
And so now you're a distance running white boy who, you know, on the surface, that should be like a cast out and kind of like marginalized. But at the same time, you have this opposite end of the spectrum where your dad's doing big things in the community. And I'm sure everybody knows your dad and knows you and knows the family.
I'm Coach Bob's kid.
You're Coach Bob's kid. So you grew up with that moniker. And so you had both sides where like, you typically don't see this story. It's either inner city kid struggles with stuff in life, scrapes by, maybe gets into college, goes on, or you see real involved dad, helps guide in a bunch of sports, homeschool, goes to Ivy League school, but you had both at the same time.
Yeah, so we were homeschooled till 8th grade. My mom was in finance. She had all these kids, so she took a step back to raise all of us, and then we went to our dad's high school. So almost 12 years of homeschooling, if you want to look at it that way. And so there was a combination of being a pastor's kid and being sheltered. And on the other side, being in an area where you're in the thick of everything, right? There's kids that are good friends of mine that are doing great. There's kids that are in horrible situations, and I've been able to see and have a lot of different perspectives playing soccer and running cross country with this demographic, playing baseball and growing up with that demographic. And I think that's what got me into an Ivy League school. My test scores are really good. I'm a pretty smart kid, but not for Ivy League standards, but my unique background and well-roundedness is what did it.
Which is kind of a microcosm of what OCR is.
Correct.
We're a collection of people that weren't standouts in any one thing, but our background, the collective of our background was enough to make us successful.
Yeah. And it all kind of came together for me. I did so many sports growing up, and I went to a small high school where you had to play a lot of sports to field a team. So had I gone to York High School, I would have been a runner. I would have only been allowed to run because you're not allowed to play multiple sports on different seasons at big schools. I would have been a little skinnier. I might have had a more successful college running career because I would have gotten recruited, and I would have been encouraged to stay on the team versus, hey, you're a preferred walk-on and you're injured. If you quit, we don't really care, which is what my college experience was. So I'm kind of living vicariously through myself, still pursuing that college career that I didn't get to take advantage of.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like,
and
when you're surrounded by sports.
Yeah, a lot of college athletes just blow up after college because they're over it. Whereas I have the motivation to keep doing it. And maybe everyone's story is different, but I feel like a lot of OCR athletes weren't college standouts, but they've become great athletes after school.
Yeah, we're a bunch of people who are surrounded by sports our whole life and always got a taste of what we could maybe accomplish, but always ran into our ceiling, whether that was injury, talent, dedication. And we all were just hungry for more. We weren't yet ready to give up being a competitive athlete when that time clock hit, which is graduating college.
So, yeah, here I am 6 years later, and it's definitely tough. Like I work a day job, suit and tie, but am competitive enough and want to be out here competing, even though I don't have that many hours in the day. And it's an excuse to travel the world. I've raced in Europe. I've raced in every city in the United States, dang near, and then made a lot of new friends because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
who wants to be a boring guy in a suit, being another cog in the wheel. So
and that's kind of the cool thing is that this didn't exist prior to this last decade. Like, how many people were left out just like in the cold? We graduate college and, well, what now? Like, OCR is our what now, but we get to travel off it. We get to make a little bit of side change off it, but that didn't exist. We just timed it right.
Yeah. All you had was a sport and social grown-up softball league.
Yep. Yeah.
You
Adult
go
people
after work
became
and
big because people were competitive.
Yeah. And so now you got CrossFit, Ninja Warrior, OCR, you name it. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton more out there that tens of or hundreds of thousands of people are kind of living their dream post and keeping the kid inside them, which I think is great.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we are glorified. We're just professional weekend warriors.
Amen.
But it's awesome. We can live that.
Yeah.
So
who wouldn't want to be us?
Going back to that high school conversation, you talked about York being the endurance powerhouse, the running powerhouse that they are. They have real training. They have coaches that, that's their craft. But you ended up not going to York and ended up not having the type of training you would have got there. But you still had very, very impressive statistics and, times that you ran as a high school kid. So first of all, drop your high school times for the listeners, and then let's talk about the actual training you did and how that did not set you up in any way for college.
Yeah, so all my PRs were junior year because I had injuries my senior year, unfortunately. Junior year, I was 15:19 3-mile, 15:45K, about a 4:35 mile, a 9:50 2-mile, and then anything under 1600, I wasn't that quick.
Yeah.
4x8, like a 204, 203. Yeah, so those were my times. In a nutshell, I still think I can break them. To all the listeners out there, Bracken does my workouts. Shout out to him. You should run with his program. It's been great. And so my goal is to get some PRs in the next 12 months. And I've never been on a program until now, including high school, including college, because I never really got to play on the team, and I'm excited to see what I can do.
That's what jumped out at me from the beginning. Why I was in, like, the first time I met you, we talked a little bit. I don't know if you remember, but like the first time I saw you was in the stadium race, probably Miller Park, right?
Miller Park. Your brother won, and I got second.
Okay, so first time I saw you was either there or at
third. Chicago, you won, and I got third.
Yeah, so maybe it was Chicago.
Yeah,
but either way, I saw you at the start line and then coming across the finish, like in podium position with, in Chicago, it would have been cross country spikes with the spikes out and these giant baggy basketball shorts.
Correct.
And I was like, you remember that? You used to race in those?
Yeah. And I did that through the whole stadium series that I won as well.
Yeah. And so right away it hit me like,
it's the inner city style, I guess.
Yeah. You can't wear short shorts running in Little Italy.
Yeah. Everyone yells at you out their cars. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the basketball culture that I played basketball, but we would run before basketball practice or after. And that's just what we did. So,
but that struck a chord with me because when I went off to college, the first day of practice, I was not allowed to practice. My coach, me and my roommate, we were from the same high school. We were best friends, went out there together down to North Carolina into the boondocks to run. And he called us out in front of the team. And he's like, you are going to sit on your ass in this office, and you are not going to get out on these roads until you have running shorts. Like, what do you mean? Like we had gone down and we'd gotten all our most, like, our shortest shorts we had. Like, we look like runners now. Sure. In reality, they probably were halfway down our kneecap.
Yeah.
But I mean,
early 2000s, the shorts were to your ankles almost.
Yeah. I mean, this was Allen Iverson. This was Stephon Marbury days.
Yeah. So Carmelo and LeBron when they first came in the league.
Yeah. And so we weren't allowed to practice. So we had to go on, and we were in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina. So I couldn't just drive out to a sporting goods store. So we had to go on East Bay and order a whole set of running shorts. And we had to pay extra for 2 days or 3 day shipping, whatever it was at the time. And we had to sit out of practice until they arrived. And then they arrived, and I had to sit down in my coach's office and open them up and model them for him, basically. Like, I had to go change, put on the next pair, walk in, and he'd be like, all right, those are good. You can wear those. And I had to go through all 6 pairs, and 2 of them, he's like, nope, those are soccer shorts. Can't wear those. I'm like, Coach.
You had to pass the audit every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so 4 of my 6 shorts passed it, and those were all I could wear.
Yeah.
And then now I was allowed to run with the team. So that was my first instance of running in running shorts. But so when I saw you across the finish line, I'm like, I get that. That's me right there. This guy's clearly good at OCR, but he's an athlete. And so right from the beginning, I felt like we had that little connection. And I was intrigued then by your story, and we'd start talking, and it was the same story, 2015, and then talking in 2016, and then 2017, like, I'm starting to get really fit, and then, I'm injured.
Yeah.
It's just that roller coaster. And that dates back to when? When did that start with you?
So senior year of high school, first soccer, I was ranked third in the state, small school, coming in for cross. And my goal was to go 14:45.
Well, small school or not, you ran 15:40 as a junior for a 5K cross country race. That's fast.
And Illinois is a 3-mile course, right? So my goal was to go 14:45.
But you ran 15:40 for a full 5K, correct?
Correct. Right. Yeah. Very, very flat course. It was great conditions, but
so you're talking 50 what? 502, 503 average per mile.
Yep.
On a non-track surface, on a rolling cross-country course. That's fast for anyone, let alone a junior in high school.
Yeah, rolling grass. So the goal was to drop 30 seconds from that, and put myself in a position to be top 1 or 2 guys. And first soccer game of the year, I get a breakaway, guy pushes me, I step in a hole, turn my ankle, I'm out 6 weeks. And then I get my first race back is regionals. I do like 18 minutes, something like that, do enough to make it to sectionals. Our team made it to sectionals, which was great. And then I had a week of good training, got one good workout in, and then I missed state by 1 place. It was funny. We had the fastest sectional. So there's 4 sectionals. 12 of the 25 all-staters were from our sectional. So that's
outrageous. That's just terrible luck.
And there was a blog or some sort of feed, it was 2008, whatever we were doing back then, that said before the race, this is going to be stacked. I'm sure there'll be an all-stater that doesn't make it. And a comment on the Sunday after the race, someone left a comment, sorry, Muzikowski. And it was, someone sent me that. It was just brutal. And so that was my cross country. And then track, I didn't play basketball over the winter. I wanted to see if I could win the 2-mile. And then I was training, running 35, 40 miles a week, constantly getting...
Which is new for you. Prior to that, how many days a week do you think you ran freshman, sophomore, junior year?
Freshman, sophomore year, we were running 20, 25 miles a week. And we didn't have an official track team, so we couldn't qualify for state. We would go to the local Chicago races, which weren't that competitive. We could run 18 minutes and win. We could eat a hot dog before the race and win, and it was whatever. And then junior year, we finally got the team, and we got a coach who ran in college, and he came 3 days a week. We had a decent program, and that's when I hit all my PRs. And then senior year, I didn't run. I didn't play basketball, so I trained the whole winter. Was getting second place, about getting close to PRs, but not getting over the hump. And so I switched and went overboard, went from 40 miles a week to 60 miles a week, hit a stress fracture 2 weeks before state, and kind of carried over the summer, came back early, went into college running, it came back early again. And I never really hit the stride in college and kind of closed that door. And 2-3 years later, I found OCR, which is great because as nice as a lot of those guys are, college cross-country runners are kind of a quirky crew, really isolated. They're really homogenous. They only date each other.
It's true.
So if being at an Ivy League school and only hanging out with your teammates for 4 years would have been pretty dumb looking back. So I think everything happens for a reason. It led me to the place where I am today. I have great friends because of it, through fraternity, through classes, through other organizations I was part of. And now I'm doing OCR and making more money than almost any college cross-country runner out there.
That's right.
My few $1,000s a year beats most guys who are running a 405 mile.
That's true. And there's a flip side to that. You talk about the homogenous cross-country unit who only date each other and go to the parties together and try to schedule classes together, and they live in the cross-country and track house together.
And one of them gets really, really drunk.
Yeah, always. But there's a flip side to that, and that is that not only does it really keep you isolated? But it's all you know, and the burnout rate is so high. How many guys do we know that are so talented, and by the time they get to their junior, senior year, don't even run anymore? Or if they do, they get through the final race is the last time they ever run in their life. Even if they're fast enough, they don't continue. Like, there are so many people that could come into OCR and they're just done with running. And you were, hamstrung by injuries, but you're also protected from burnout, where now you can pursue this career, if we want to call it career, and have all of your new successes really for the first time, because you didn't have to go through that 5-year grind that is college track cross country.
Yeah, I'm as competitive now as I was as a junior, senior in high school, which was my peak athletic career. And some people, you'll almost get some criticism, like, you're 27, you're working in finance in Chicago. Like, yeah, what's this Spartan race stuff you're doing? But I could say, hey, I've made some money. I get to travel around for free net. And my life is a little more spicy than yours is. So,
and everyone has their thing. Like,
yeah,
like
I'd rather do
justification game.
Then drink at the bar,
So drink at the bar, gamble, recreational drug use, whatever it is. Like, people spend their money and their time on something.
Yeah. Or work, or they work 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And to each their own. I'm not saying that to criticize people, but
it's no more destructive or irrational than any of those other things.
Yeah. And I think it's everyone doing it is a really healthy person. They have motivation. They have some purpose behind what they do. You've seen crazy stories of people losing. Joe DeSena's clients who have lost 200, 300 pounds because of Spartan race. And it's bigger than just you. The camaraderie around the sport is great. You see someone with a Spartan race shirt at the gym, it's almost the same thing as seeing someone with a Columbia shirt at the gym, or a UW lacrosse shirt at the gym. You just have that in common. So
it's what I assume military members feel.
Correct.
When they run into someone with a tattoo, like, all right, like, it's unspoken. We've been through the same kind of thing, not to that level, but there's a pretty deep connection there.
Yeah. And so that's kind of sets me apart from a lot of guys at the office. And what was really cool, I got on Ninja Warrior last year. And not everyone knows what Spartan race is or Tough Mudder is, but 5-6 million people watch Ninja Warrior every week. And anyone who has kids, their kids watch it. So that was great that I was able to do that. I didn't do as well as I'd like to, but kind of gave people appreciation for what I do.
And it lends credence to the hours you put in when suddenly they can see you on TV.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got all these likes and shares of this video, and he's kind of popular. He's actually doing some cool things. He's not just dipping out early to go home and sit on the couch. He's actually running and doing his thing. So it's it's been great. I'm happy to have found it. And it all led from, if I was not injury prone, I wouldn't be doing Spartan races today.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk injury prone, because in the last, several months, we started working together with your training. And one unique thing about you was that we're working from the opposite end of the table of where I would normally work with someone, which is, hey, I decided to look you up because I can do obstacles and everything, but everyone's faster than me, and I've never been a runner, and I just have to learn how to run. And that's not everyone, but that's, like, if I had to say the majority of people that ever approach me and say, hey, could we work together? That's the story.
Okay.
And with you, like, we've talked for years, running's not your issue. It's staying healthy enough to train to access your running. You were running 5 flat pace at 16 years old. That's not the issue with you. It's how many hours can you get in without having the legs give out.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting problem. So what we started with, I don't know if you remember the first plan I wrote, I had to specify on certain days, like, must be done on grass or done on soft surface.
Yeah. And I'm so spontaneous that in the last 3 months, it's been about 5 months now since we've been working together, the injuries that I've had have not come through running. It's
Right.
been basketball, 3-on-3 tournament, or playing pickup with the guys. I pulled a hammy.
Wrestling your roommate.
Wrestling my roommate, and who's over here right now. And
Now
then
that's going to sound to the listeners like a ridiculously dorky thing to get. Like, oh, you're wrestling your buddy, but explain a little bit who your roommate is.
yeah, so my roommate is the heavyweight wrestler at Columbia University. I met him when he moved to Chicago. We didn't know each other in college, and at one point he was an Olympic hopeful, ranked top 25 in the world Greco. So the competitive side of me likes to poke the bear once in a while, and it never goes well, but I'm going to keep trying until I score 2 points.
But there's less shame in getting injured wrestling your roommate in this situation rather than just some guy who you guys whipped your shirts off and started wrestling around on the futon.
No, and we were actually at the gym with the mats, but I just got slammed pretty hard, and my hip's been off and on for the last month and a half. So there's that, and then like tweak an ankle playing soccer. And so for the next 6 months, I'm going to be a good boy and clean. And I'm saying that to the whole world right now, that between now and Fenway Park at the end of the stadium, or San Francisco Park, I will stick to running and try to be the best Spartan racer I can be. Because you can't be a jack of all trades anymore. At 27, I'm relatively old and fragile.
Tell me that.
And I've been through enough that I don't have the time and energy to add all these other things to my plate. I would just stay focused on your program. I'll be great.
Well, I think what some people will be able to take away from what we started talking about, what we will, is how you've what your strategy has been to work around some of the pre-existing issues that you had. Because if there's one common thread in our sport, it's not taking time off to heal. Our sport is filled with people who race too often and run through injury and pain constantly. And so it's almost to the point like it's useless telling people to take time off. And now it's, all right, what can you do in order to get your fitness up and avoid making it worse? So like your strategies early on, and even still, like soft ground running whenever possible. But another thing was you had calf like weakness. I don't know how else to say it. Like everything that was fast destroyed your calves and Achilles.
Correct.
So you started off running incline speed work.
Yes.
And had to slowly ease it down from 10% down over time to give your legs time to adapt to that. And that's something I think a lot of people could benefit from, rather than just hopping right on the track, is starting uphill a little bit before they kind of graduate to flat, hard ground.
Yeah. And one thing I've gotten into in the last year, little over a year ago, a buddy at a law firm invited me to run the hustle up the Hancock, which John Hancock Building is the second tallest building in Chicago. It's about the same height as the Empire State Building in New York, and it's just a stair climb. And I'd never done stair racing before. I was 100% down to do it, and I got like 30th place of maybe a couple thousand people. And I was like, okay, I'm going to train for this next year. And stairs, going up them, there's not that much impact, right? You're not going to injure yourself. You're going to be burning in the quads and your calves, but you're not going to injure yourself like you would running.
Almost impossible to have a impact-related injury upstairs unless you fall. Correct.
So running upstairs is running 40 flights, which takes me about 5 minutes, is a lot harder than running a 5-minute mile all out. And so that has been a great substitute, as well as just hitting the bike and rowing machine. I haven't mastered it yet, but I do know now that if I am feeling tight or sore, I am going to ride the bike. And a lot of times on the spreadsheet, I just rode the bike or took off today instead of ran 4 miles because I was tired. Right?
You're living to fight another day.
Yeah. And what I need to, my area of opportunity is limiting outside activities like basketball and wrestling, and drinking and soccer. And I still don't eat as healthy as I can, but if I took those all down a notch, I could be top 5 at every stadium race moving forward. I'm confident in that ability, and even hit a podium by the end of the year. and be right behind you guys at the top, if not right with you. So that's,
So you're going to back up that if?
yeah.
Back up that if and do it?
Yeah, I'll back it up and do it. So I am going to commit on camera to stop playing basketball and other sports outside of the training program. I will lift and rock climb outside of the training program, and that's it.
So I'm torn on this because like half of me says that's, given your injury history, that is such a smart thing to do. And then the other half of me says, when we can no longer go out and enjoy the things that we're doing, what are we even doing here in the first place? Like, we're not getting 7-figure deals. Like, quality of life comes from mental happiness. Basketball, if that's mental yoga for you, you got to go do it. So I'm torn on this.
I mean, you plan once or twice, once a week with a couple buddies on a Sunday night when you could be winding down the week for the work week ahead. And it doesn't do that much for me. I'm not as good at basketball as I used to be. So it's more frustrating than anything else. And taking the time to get good at basketball, like, there's not as much benefit in it as much as there is hitting a podium in a Spartan race. So
that's the exact piece. The once a week, it's a catch-22, because in order to stay healthy and fresh for running, you have to limit the outside things to once or twice a week. But if you only play basketball once a week, your chances of a quick movement hurting you skyrocket. And so it's like, you either have to do it a lot or you have to say, I'm not. And that cost me. I hadn't played basketball in a long time, and I played for 3 straight weeks to get ready for this tournament, just to get, the shot underneath me again and get, the handles back a little bit, so I don't feel like I'm dribbling with my thumbs.
Yeah.
But, not being ready for quick movements and non-linear movements is why I tweaked the hammy.
Yeah. So I mean, lesson for me and you both is to think short-term versus long-term, right?
Yeah.
You got third, I got 11th, right? We probably could have been first and fifth. And that's a lot more points for me to make up than you, but
I lucked out by being top 4.
You lucked up being
series,
top
you have to be top 4 or you get hosed with points.
Yeah, so now I'm still a little bit behind. I'm going, and my heel's messed up right now. I'll crack the top 10 if I don't miss the spear. But do I crack the top 5? Probably it'll be a stretch. So I'm fighting an uphill battle, and that's at the end of the season. I'll be more frustrated with myself for playing basketball and being injured than I would have had fun playing basketball.
That's fair.
So message is, figure out what the goal and the vision is, and if you can add some outside activities, great. But if you know they won't benefit your cause, then I can have just as much fun rock climbing as I could playing basketball, and that's more relevant to my sport of OCR.
Very much so. So I guess this kind of segues to stadiums. What would you change about stadiums in general? Because there was some talk coming in this year. Before Joe DI left, he had been planning some potential changes for stadiums.
Okay.
And none of them went through. He left on December 1st.
I haven't heard about these.
So there was talk of eliminating or totally changing rep-based obstacles, either getting rid of rep-based and making everything trackable by machine, so only like skier or rower and assault bike, or making them so that they were much different, so that there was no form considerations, just completed a rep or not completed, but nothing in between. Like, it's either you, like a box jump over versus a box jump over. It doesn't matter what your form is. If you wind up at the other side, you've completed it. Now that wasn't one of his specific obstacles, but those kind of things, completely revamping it. Nothing happened. I was kind of wondering, when we get out to city, what were we going to see? And we saw nothing new. But what would you change, if anything, about the stadium races?
I think it was great that they took the burpees down from 30 to 15. That one was great. I've lost the race on that before. Only other thing I would change, That's a tough one. I have a ton of fun doing them. Maybe a couple more strength obstacles, right? If they're like, I love the assault bike. If they added in a ski erg or a rowing machine again, and I know it's tough because once you get past the age group, they'll just get completely congested. But for the elite guys to add in a couple more strength obstacles would be pretty cool. I think the amount of stairs is great.
You just had a recent, I'm going to derail you. You just had a recent stair race win, didn't you?
Yeah. So this past year at Hustle Up to Hancock, it went from 31st to 10th, right? So I'm going to train for that again next year, go for top 5, which is a great warm up.
And that was with 1, maximum 2 stair workouts a week this offseason.
Yes. So, I mean, we'll do that again over the winter.
The stair guys are training stairs.
The stair guys are training stairs. But it was a good race to build a base for stadium racing. And then there was a race at Notre Dame. My sister is there now. She's a senior. She sent me the link. It's called Storm the Stadium. You run every step in the stadium. So every section. It's like the upper deck of a stadium race, but around the whole bowl and then around the lower deck bowl.
So you're either up or down every single existing stair in the stadium.
Yep, every section of stairs in the stadium.
Did they get a track? Did they count how many stairs that is?
It was like 3,540.
Okay. How long did that take you?
It took me 23 minutes and 23 and a half minutes. So about the same time as a fast stadium course, but it's just a straight running.
No let up on stairs. You're either going down or you're getting to the next stair.
Yep. So it's up, across, down, across, up, across, down, across. And you get some nice rest going down, but the goal was just to not break. I was running the whole time. Never started double stepping or pacing, and I was able to win.
No power hiking at all up the stairs?
No power hiking at all. So I was never going too fast, but I never power hiked. And there were a couple guys who had beaten me there in the Hustle Up to Hancock, but I could run downstairs so much faster than they could. And that's something they never practiced. I was just double stepping down the stairs where they were single stepping, and I beat them by a minute and a half.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So
it's just like OCR, you add in one more skill.
Yeah, that well-roundedness from Spartan or OCR versus someone who's a cross-country runner or a stair climber won that race for me. And it was $100 gift card to Fleet Feet. I'll take it.
That's right.
Second place got nothing. So, and so that, I don't know where I got derailed there.
I derailed you. We were talking about what we change in a stadium. You were talking about you like the number of stairs they have.
I like the number of stairs. I don't know. What would you change? Maybe I'll get some ideas off what you said.
I would absolutely make all the reps clear as day. Either I would choose a type of rep that you can't possibly cheat. The example being box jump overs versus box jumps. What's that? So
you have a problem with people not extending?
No, I have a problem with there being a judgment call.
Okay.
Because if it's not black and white, people will choose gray. And
correct.
At some point, gray is intelligent and smart. And
yeah. My 13th, 14th, and 15th rep are not as clean as my first, second, and third.
Right. But at some point, it becomes cheating, and it's such a slippery slope. And it's on a volunteer who's not been given any training on what to even do if they're doing it wrong. They don't even tell you if you're not doing it. You just might get dinged afterwards, or you might not on video replays. So I would either make them all reps that you can't possibly fail, like a failing a rep would just not complete the rep, or I would make it so that it'd be CrossFit style, where someone would be in your ear saying rep, no rep, 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 no rep.
Yeah, I also don't like how 3 years ago in the stadium races, you couldn't put your foot on the gate in the hurt course.
Yeah.
And now you can. It's just kind of merged to it. I guess they're
all outside now.
I guess there were a couple volunteers at a certain stadium race where one or two guys started doing it. They weren't called out, and everyone did it, which is, I guess, is fine as a fair playing field. But now it's not hard to complete the Hercules anymore.
No.
And I think the stadium race, if it's catering to a more circuit style workout where strength is a more of a major factor than long distance running, they should honor that and keep that as is.
Yeah. For people that don't know the progression here, stadium races, initially, most of the stadiums had some sort of indoor Herc hoist. And so it wasn't as tall of a hoist, but they also couldn't anchor down the fences. And if you put your foot on it, they would slide, and it was on polished concrete. So A, it would scratch the floor, and B, they couldn't even anchor them down. So no one was allowed to touch the fence. So you had to stand sometimes behind a line and just hoist it. And as a result,
tape on the line, taper line there, and it was awesome.
But they made the weights lighter then to compensate for that. Sure. Now it's outdoor hoists. They can anchor it down. You can put your feet on it, but they haven't raised the weights.
Yeah. So and no one does burpees on those. 2-3 years ago, a lot of guys were doing burpees. I had to do burpees once.
I did at one race. I went over the line.
Yeah, and I'm relatively strong for an OCR guy, but I thought that was cool. It mixed it up. It gave people a new challenge. And John Yatsko got second in a race I got third in. This was in San Francisco 3 years ago. Ryan Kent won. I was third. John Yatsko was second. And I was able to pass him up on the Hercules. So I got about 15, 20 seconds on him. I don't know how he got the thing up, but he's a runner and he chased me down at the end. But he actually goes to Columbia now. So shout out
he does.
Lions. That was cool. It was to my advantage, and that's probably why I like it. But I think a couple more things to cater to well-rounded athletes, which is
I would either raise the weight back up to the standard Spartan race weight because there's no reason to have it lighter, or I would keep it light and require 2 or 3 reps.
That'd be cool.
I also want to see Twister and Olympus in a stadium. There's no reason why they can't have it other than to save money.
Yeah, there's just the Tarzan rings are super easy, or monkey bars. There's only one. There's not.
You only get rings. You only get a rig or monkey bars. You never get both.
I mean, and you could do a gauntlet in the parking lot if it's too hard to squeeze it in a smaller stadium.
They could do it on the field in a football stadium. You could just go down the field, rig, Olympus, Twister.
Or add or add it on the warning track in a baseball field.
Yep. That'd be cool.
And that way, the bad thing about the good and bad thing about a stadium race, you can see a lot of the race, but if you can make it more exciting for fans at the end and have 5 or 6 obstacles instead of just jumping over a couple of things and doing it would attract more viewers.
I would also change the start. The starts are a mess. We've talked about it on a previous episode, but you run never longer than 10 or 15 seconds, and then you're either up or downstairs or jumping over a ledge. It's chaos, and I would start them outside. They've done that in the past.
Like Dallas, maybe 3-4 years ago, I think I got won that race easy. Your brother got second. There was about 2 minutes of just running down the
ramps.
The ramps. That was great.
Yeah.
I don't mind the chaos. I'm all about pushing us up. I don't think anyone's ever got injured.
No, and I guess I don't mind it. What I do mind is when that leads right into the bleacher and stair running and there's no passing. So suddenly you can go sometimes 5 or 6 minutes in a race before it opens up enough to pass. And people who decided I'm taking the whole shot no matter what have now just blown up, and they don't pay for it and you pay for it because you can't get around. Sure. Now, that hasn't happened to me, but it's happened to enough good people that I feel like if you're going to have crazy chaos in the beginning, there has to be some way for people to, even if they have to run extra, get around it and get back up.
Yeah. So part of me likes the strategy that needs to be implemented, and part of me sees your point. I've never been affected negatively by it, so I don't mind. And then in the last race,
so let me
the last race of 2018 when it was at Chicago Fire Stadium, I was winning for about 6-7 minutes.
So that was the one race that did negatively impact me. I got stuck for a long time there.
Okay. Yeah. And it was about a 10-yard run and then straight down some stairs. And I went reckless and I skipped 4 down and I had a 10, 15 second lead. And I was out there with Isaiah for 3-4 minutes until I was you, Tyler Bierman, a couple other guys passed. And it was pretty fun being out front because I took the risk and I was rewarded for it. But I wasn't in good enough shape to maintain the pace. But
so
it
that
goes both
highlights
ways.
what I was about to say. If there's going to be a hole shot, I think it should be an equal opportunity hole shot. So we were stretched out across that concrete, concourse there.
There were 5-6 wide, right?
At least, but there were 2 railings that went down and we couldn't see where it went down to. So everyone ran out and it ended up being a left-hand turn. But it was dumb luck if you're on the left side or the right.
Sure.
If you're on the right, which a few of us were, you had to run extra and you got bumped way to the outside. So if there is a hole shot, I think it should be equal opportunity hole shot.
Okay.
Or start everyone horizontally rather than, 5 rows of 5 or whatever. Because then the people
4 or 5 rows of 3, or 3 rows of 5, right?
Because then only people in the first row have a chance at the hole shot, which again benefits me because I get to line up in the front row. But
you call first.
If there's someone who should be up in the lead pack, they might not even have the opportunity to make the hole shot because they just are bottlenecked based off how they were seated.
What do you think? And I guess this can never be completely remedied. What do you think of the different waves? First wave, second wave, third wave. Like, how do you get the guy who's qualified in the second wave into the first wave, and the couple guys that muscle head their way into the first wave that shouldn't be there?
Well, I like the idea of it because
it's better than it was. It's way better.
Pay your dues once, and then you can usually get in. But I would just probably, I'd add 5 more people because it's usually just 1 or 2 guys that's like on the fence. I would add 5 people to the first one, and I'd start it with a wider section. And so I'd probably start all of the races in the parking lot and give you a wider start line so that you can just have 20 people in the first row. Because really outside of 20, the race peters off. I'd get all 20 in the first one and let them fight it out for 50 meters and then send them into the stage.
So you could do, you call out 15 guys and then you almost handpick the last 5.
I would have a wild card system, or I'd just call out the top 20.
Okay. But then,
for example, the first year they did
not much more than 20 real competitive guys anyway.
That's the way I see it.
Okay. I get it.
Like in the last race, Yatsko showed up to Citi Field and they weren't going to let him in the first wave, so he didn't even race. He's like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to or not, so I'll just spectate and cheer you guys on. Benny was in the second wave and he took 10th.
And he beat me.
Yeah. And so there are a few people, but there's always like 2 to 3 that could legitimately go top 10. But there's really never more than 20 guys there who have a potential to go top 10. So I would just expand it to 20.
Yeah, and I guess if the end goal is top 10, then 20 makes sense.
Yeah. But I would like to see a cross-country start line rather than a NASCAR start line. I think if you're going to have people put back there against their will, they have to at least have the opportunity to fight their way to the front before you hit the first chaos section.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I would do is I would have everybody run 50 feet or just, it could be 5 feet and get to a station. I would have a station immediately. So everyone has equal opportunity to get in, hit your reps. And now maybe it's only 20 more feet and then bottlenecking begins, but you've at least had chance to go from back row to first row if you want to hit it early.
Correct. And you can pick regardless of where you pick your station.
I'd have it
equal opportunity.
I'd have it horizontal. So I'd line everyone up horizontal across, and then I'd have kind of like TMX, a horizontal across station.
Yeah.
So everyone hits it at the same time. You don't have to run to the last one. It's just directly your spot lines up with a station.
So
50 feet
that's got to be, slam balls would be the easiest one.
Slam ball. Yep. Or you could do push-ups. You could even do box jumps.
Yeah.
You could if you wanted to mess with people, you could do a self bike right away, but any sort of obstacle that would allow people the chance to over rev. And now I get the whole shot, but at least everyone has equal opportunity.
Yeah. And I would I think push-ups or slam balls would be best because people can do them within a minute, and the next wave wouldn't be stuck waiting.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's area of opportunity, but compared to where it was 3-4 years ago, where there was no system, you get a guy with 350 pounds in the first wave, and
First come, first serve. Someone would stand there and then not make eye contact. They would just refuse to look at you, and they weren't moving.
Yeah, so I was stuck in like the third or fourth wave for the first few stadium races I did, and then so that's eliminated. The 30 to 15 is eliminated. The assault bike bringing in there is great. I think the points are. I still haven't gotten a view on them, but the point system's pretty cool this year.
I like that it's universal across all series, whereas last year only the Stadium Series had the prorated system.
Yeah, and it's better for guys that are studs. They could still come in and run 4 races and do pretty well. Compared to the old system, you almost had to do all 5.
Had to is non-negotiable.
Yeah, so guy can get top 4 times or even 3 times and almost beat the guy who gets 180 points.
Yeah, and I think that is the sign of a good system where the top, cream of the crop, always wins out over the people who are mediocre but consistent.
Yes. So it's hurting me right now, but ideally I get it. If I'm in top shape, I would be benefiting from it.
But it also has the ability to benefit you, whereas last year you'd be out of the series with an event. And this year, having in the top 4 places, you can still wind up 3.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I'm actually curious who all's going to show up on Saturday. Do you have that?
Yeah, so we're going to have Ryan Kent.
Okay.
He better show up because I'm splitting a hotel with him. I want to stuck with that bill.
Who?
Forrest Booge.
Say that again. I lost you for a second here.
And he's going to be good in the connection here. I'm going to keep talking here, even if Bo can't hear me. I'm going to run through the list here. So we have Forrest Booge. He is a OCR racer who's pretty good. Not pretty good. He's very good. He was top 10 in Tahoe last year. But
Really?
He is a former All-American wrestler in college. You know Anthony Rumble Johnson, the UFC fighter?
Yeah.
Forrest was his teammate in college as wrestlers.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah,
it's all about training partners in wrestling and running.
That's right. Although they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Forrest is probably 5'4" and probably wrestled at like 115.
There you go.
He's an animal. So his rep-based obstacles are going to be so fast. He's a really good climber, and he's been doing stair work, so he's going to be really fast up the stairs.
Okay.
He's actually, I would not be surprised if he's on the podium, but he's going to be in the mix for a while.
Got it. So Ryan Kent, Forrest, and did you say someone else while I was out?
No, that's the newcomers that I know of.
Sure. Who's not coming that came to City?
Maybe Kieran.
Oh yeah. He might be staying with me actually. If he's listening right now, we were texting a little bit today. He's got to book his flight.
Okay. But other than that, I think everyone will come that was there. And maybe Benny, he's at home vomiting right now.
Oh,
if
yeah.
it doesn't clear up, he's not going.
That's cool. You get to see the same guys every time, and it's
like a real series.
It's much more telling at the end of the season who was actually better than the next guy.
What's the difference between the NCAA tournament and the NBA Finals? Anyone can go on a run and beat any team on a one-off experience, but in a 7-game series, it's really hard to pull an upset.
Correct. So
it happens. Cavs were down 3-1, but rarely does it happen.
Exactly. And I mean, injuries will come into play, but I mean, once you're there and you're on the line, you can't really make an excuse, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
So it'll be fun. I don't know. Is Washington, I've never done nationals. Is it bigger or smaller?
I've never been there either, but it's a baseball park. I find that most of them outside of Fenway are kind of the same proportions.
Got it.
The city is very much like Citizens Bank, which is very much like Busch. They have different dimensions, but the proportions are pretty similar.
Yeah, so it'll
Not
be
overly stair heavy. It's not overly running heavy. It's the mix.
so it'll be somewhere between 25 and 29 minutes for the winner.
I would
how they
guess. I would put it at 27 as the over under.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. It'll be fun. Hope I'm going for fifth. Let's go for fifth here.
All right, so we're
going for the win
here. You're going to take fifth?
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to take first?
I mean, that's what I'm going out there to do. Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Kent and I are going to go at it from the start, and he's in very, very good shape right now. He just did a workout. Do you know the Manitou Incline in Colorado Springs? He did a workout with Tyler Bierman where they went up the incline, down bar trail 3 times, back to back. And they went something like 2450, 25 mid, 26 high, which if you've done it,
I've done it
going
once.
sub 27 3 times in a row is not an easy feat.
Yeah, I did 27 once and was brutal.
Yeah.
I would have been in the 30s for sure the second time around.
So we know Kent and Forrest won't fade on stairs. So to beat them, they're going to have to get beat somewhere else, whether it's down the stairs, on the transitions, on the flats maybe. But I imagine if I had to predict, Kent and I will, and Forrest may or may not be part of that. We'll see. Your first one, you just lose time on transitions and reps and all that. But I think Kent and I are going to break away, maybe with Forrest, and it's going to be a dogfight.
You can't count out Isaiah Vidal ever either.
No, he's always in it. But I think that having Kent there, he and I are gonna push each other from the beginning. It's going to be a pretty hot pace.
Got it. And then the rest is kind of up for grabs. After 4 last time, it was pretty up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. Well, going back to the Isaiah thing, Kent and I are both very, very motivated to beat Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the last time Kent and Isaiah raced, we were all 3 of us in a pack, 1, 2, 3, and Kent left with a dislocated shoulder.
Correct.
And the last time I raced Isaiah, I took third. He won. So now I am 2 point levels behind him in the series. So it really behooves me to not only beat him, but beat him by enough that someone else can sneak in there. So point-wise, I'm very motivated, and pride and whatever else personal aside, Kent's very motivated. So I can't imagine we're going to let him get out into first and dictate the pace. I think we both have the mentality we are going to get the whole shot and try to run it out of him right from the start.
Interesting. And then I'll be consistent catching up to everyone. I'll just be picking
hopefully we blow the race up and everyone picks up the scraps.
Yeah. I mean, not being at 100%, I have to stay consistent and just run as smart as I can and power out the second half. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Right. And then onto AT&T, right?
AT&T, which had almost 2,000 feet of gain last year, which is just outrageous for a stadium race.
I am really, really excited for that.
It's a mountain race in the stadiums.
Yeah, a mountain race.
A mountain sprint.
Yeah, and I'm lucky. I'm the minority, and correct me if I'm wrong, competitive Spartan racer, OCR racer that works a suit and tie job during the day.
In terms of top 10 guys, I can't think of another one.
Yeah, so that hurts me a lot because I'm stuck wearing dress shoes and have to walk to the train, and that probably fuels injuries to some degree. But I do have 50 floors in my office building that I can run up and down whatever I want. So
yeah, that's ideal.
Between now and AT&T, getting 3-4 good workouts there will help me in the second half.
I might have to swing down your way for some of these quality sessions.
Yeah, I mean, I always joke about playing basketball with you, but I guess we'll have to cut that one out. But
so
we'll go do a free throw contest.
Every single stadium race that's near a place with a gym, we always say, all right, after the race, we're going to play some ball this weekend. And it never, ever has worked out.
Have yet to do it. Maybe
City, we finally had it all set. We had the gym ready. We had everything. And then we both pulled hamstrings a week out. So,
and we both hated basketball at that point.
So we have to just accept the fact that it's never going to happen and move.
San Francisco, last stadium race of the year. A couple college teammates of mine play out there. We can do it that afternoon.
All right, so we'll set our sights on San Fran. Is it official now? Spartan announced it on their Instagram, and now they took it down.
Oh, did they? I posted a comment there.
Someone sent me a screenshot yesterday. It said, "Hey, it's official," and I got it yesterday. I didn't check it until late last night. So this morning, before my run, I went on, and it's not there.
Well, there has to be 5 races. I thought it was going to be LA, and now it's San Francisco.
Well, it was until the post isn't there anymore. I've heard rumor it was supposed to be San Fran from the start. Then there was rumors of LA, and there's rumors of Pittsburgh.
Well, you've already had 2 on the East Coast, so why would you have a 3rd on the East Coast?
Why would there not be a 5th one announced yet?
Yeah, Texas. Well, I mean, in Fenway's East Coast, so you need to get at least 1 West Coast.
It's got to be San Fran or LA, right?
Yeah. Who would go to Pittsburgh? LA, San Fran are better destinations. It hurts the guys who are East Coast that got to pay that $800 round trip or whatever it is, but it gives West Coast guys something to live for. And who doesn't want to go to California in November?
That's right. All right, so we have our predictions down. Who would you say, if you had to predict the podium right now, what's it going to be?
If you guys go out super hard, like you say,
I'm getting out hard.
I'm gonna go with and Kent has not done a stadium race, even though he's probably in better shape than you. I'll say
I would say he's in better overall fitness.
Yeah, but you're in better
sharper shape. For a stadium right now, though. You're
in better shape than you were last year, is what you told me last week.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go you, Kent, Vidal, because
it's hard to bet
Daniel,
against Isaiah.
Yeah, Forrest. It's really hard. Yeah, Foji.
Foji.
Sorry, I got that. I butchered that, but I would put him 5th because we don't know how fast he can run downstairs.
Yeah. Traditionally, descending has been his weakness until Tahoe last year. He descended well, but prior to that, he wasn't a great descender. So maybe stairs, I don't know.
Stairs is a different animal, and he'll lose a second here and there navigating in between the rows.
And getting in and out of like heavy jump ropes and stuff.
The rolling thing. He'll lose a couple seconds there. But I mean, if he's as good as you say he is, like I'm sure he'll be fine.
If this was a fitness contest or if this was an outdoor race, he would absolutely be top 3.
Yes.
So I'm going to take Isaiah for 3rd just because how do you bet against him? But and then it's not a knock on Forrest. I will not be shocked if he's on the podium.
Yeah, and I would throw a toss up between Forrest and Kempson.
Yeah. I think that if Forrest had Kempson's experience, he'd be in the mix for the win.
Yes. But I mean, you never know.
I mean,
Brian Kent won his first stadium race. There wasn't a ton of competition there. But
yeah, maybe Forrest blows us away and I look foolish. So then it'll be Kempson 4th and you'll be 5th?
Yeah, if this heel holds up, I'm ready to go. I'm going to eat healthy for the last 3 days. For those of you,
48-hour cleanse and you're set.
48-hour cleanse. I will literally lose 3 to 4 pounds in 2 days compared to my average diet. So yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm just praying that this heel heals up. Some sort of bruise or maybe some sort of mild plantar fasciitis. I can't figure it out. If anyone has had random pain on the outside of their foot back into their heel, give me a shout and let me know what it is. It's not a Jones fracture, thank God. And I'm out of ideas otherwise. So I'm just staying off in it and putting some ice, putting a little heat. I'll wrap it the day of and see how it goes.
Awesome. All right. So before we get to rapid fire questions, predict the next U.S. series race, which is Big Bear. We'll get away from stadiums. This has been a stadium podcast, but we'll predict the Big Bear Beast. Do you have a prediction for men or women?
Gotta be Ryan Atkins.
I mean, it has to be, right?
You're climbing the whole time. I wanted to say Ryan Woods because he's the fastest runner, but he's fallen off a little bit the last couple races. And I haven't followed it as good as I should be, but he was the favorite coming in. And then I don't know if it's mental or physical. He's
It's just been a string of unfortunate events.
yeah. So
And he has a history of not being able to make it through nasty courses without rolling his ankle. So even if on paper he's the best, he hasn't shown the ability not to roll his ankle on these courses.
him and I would get along. I rolled my ankle at City actually,
Yes, you did.
coming down a stair. So yeah, I'd say Ryan Atkins for sure. He won the last race, and this one's even more up his alley. Like, got to be him.
Atkins, Killian, and Kent on paper to me. Angel might show up, and I think he took third here last year, or
Really?
second, maybe.
Yeah, Killian hasn't had the best year though.
No, he hasn't.
podiumed
I wonder
yet,
if this is
right?
going to be his breakout race of the year.
And then on the women's side, I besides Nicole Miracle and Lindsay Webster, I don't see anyone else touching those two.
Okay, I don't know if Nicole will do it on this kind of course. She certainly can. I think Rhea and Lindsay Webster are going to be the two, and then I think I'll take Faye for third.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I feel bad about this. I don't know the girls' competition as well as I should, but Faye is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And
then there's a whole host of guys and girls that all could put it together, and they're all fit enough too. But
yeah,
man,
there's
it's gonna be a 3-hour grind.
Kempson will be fun to watch. It'll be
Yes.
Tyler Veerman has more of a long distance background than a lot of these guys.
So Veerman,
right?
Veerman, Kirk, if his foot holds up, he might not even race. If he does race and his foot holds up for 3 hours, Veerman, Kirk, and Johnny Luna Lima are all going to be right on the fringe of that, like 2, 3, 4, 5 slot.
Yeah, I mean, would Cody Moat show up to this race, or is he retired?
I don't think we'll see him at a Spartan until West Virginia, or no, Utah and then West Virginia.
What's up with that? He's just
he coaches track, so he really can't.
He's a family man, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Is that one being live streamed?
Yes.
It
might be tape delayed a day. You know, they're doing that garbage now, so we'll see.
Sure. Well, when will one of ours be live stream?
Oh, who knows?
Will we get Dallas again? Or?
That'd be cool. I there's no sport that I know of, but I might not be in the loop.
Gotcha.
All right. Bo for 1 second here. When he gets back, close this episode out. Rapid fire, first thing that comes to mind. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. One book everyone needs to read that's not sports related.
I was going to say the Spartan book, but come back to me next.
All right. One sports related book.
Joe DeSanto's book, Spartan.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I have it sitting on my nightstand. I haven't touched it.
Yeah. My brother bought it for me as a gag gift for Christmas, and I actually read it, and it was great.
Awesome. What's your go-to workout music? What do you listen to?
Either EDM or
I would not have guessed that.
EDM or 2000s rock, actually.
Okay.
I've gone away from rap, which was my high school thing and early college thing, and just something that with a consistent beat. I'm actually a musician. That's my soft, unathletic side.
What do you play?
I minored in music at Columbia, actually. So piano performance. So Mozart, Beethoven, Bach.
Look at you.
I could strum a guitar, all right, and I played the drums at church. So very
sing?
No.
Good, because that'd be not a fair fight if you could do all of those things.
Yeah, I'm confident, but I'm not a good singer.
Gotcha. Favorite OCR ratio?
Favorite OCR race that I've done?
No, racing shoe for OCR.
I have never worn one.
You have worn your Nike Waffles, haven't you?
My Nike Waffles, your basic Brooks, your basic Sauconys. And to go back to that book, I'll say Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor, good call.
Favorite
OCR athlete of all time?
Besides Bracken Crocker, Hobie Call, old school.
Hobie Call. That's the
Hunter
most common we
McIntyre is
have.
fun to watch on Instagram. He's got a great personality.
Favorite off-day activity?
Concerts.
I like that.
Yeah.
Who is the best act you've ever seen in concert?
Justin Timberlake.
Oh, good call.
2020 tour, Madison Square Garden.
He puts on a good show.
He crushed it. Michael Jackson 2.0. And then I saw Bruno Mars last summer. He was really good as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say Coldplay was the best show I ever saw.
Interesting.
You'd be surprised. They actually put on a really good show.
Yeah, I seen old school. My dad took me to Bruce Springsteen. That was really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce. All right. If you could live and train in one place, where would it be?
Colorado Springs for the Manitoba Climb.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. If you could be a professional athlete at anything other than OCR, what are you choosing?
NBA or European soccer player.
Okay.
Yeah,
Either way, you're getting that guaranteed money.
guaranteed money.
What athletic achievement are you most proud of?
Probably All-State my senior year, or my junior year of high school. I was the first All-Stater of my high school ever.
That's pretty cool. Was it a big deal, or was it not because it's running?
It is not because it was running.
The shame and pain of the long distance runner.
But the football team was ranked 1 in the state that year, and they lost in the second round. So
they can suck it.
I won.
You won.
Yeah.
It's my dad's last laugh.
It's my dad's school, so we all support everything. But yeah, that was a nice little accomplishment. And the Stadium Series was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good distinction to have.
It was a nice. I won $4,000. It was.
That pays for your whole next year of racing.
Biggest payday of my career, right? So.
Right. What is your go-to, your favorite running workout or OCR workout?
I like the OCR 400s that you give me.
Yeah.
So it's four times 1 mile, but there's an anaerobic activity between every 400. So it's 400 push-ups, slam balls, jumping lunges, and then you're done.
Just to clarify, that's 400 meters, then push-ups, not 400 push-ups.
Correct. 400 meters, then push-ups. And then every lap there's something to do, and you get a 2-minute break, and you keep going. In high school, we did 25 400s a couple times. That was brutal.
Okay.
But
25 400s. What kind of effort?
7-mile pace with 1 minute rest.
That's extremely insane.
That's the York Dukes way.
York Dukes way, 25 by 400 at mile pace with 1 minute. That's impossible. It can't be mile pace. That's impossible.
I mean, I'm sure if it was 70 seconds is my mile pace, maybe I'm hitting 75 for half of them. But
You're
yeah,
pushing more like 3K pace.
Yeah. And then, but York Dukes run 70 miles a week. Most of their guys will burn out in college.
That's interesting. 25 by 400 is a monster workout.
Yeah, they had us in 8th grade.
I do that workout. I do 24 by 400 at 10K pace with 60-second jog recovery. So to do 3K pace or mile is that's hard for me to comprehend.
That culture was insane. But I mean,
that's why they're good, though.
That's why they're good.
Throw a dozen eggs at the wall, and the 5 that don't break are going to win state.
Amen. Amen.
Right. All right. Favorite movie of all time?
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. I like that. Favorite food?
Let's go with pizza.
Favorite drink?
If it's alcoholic, Corona. If it's non-alcoholic, Diet Coke. Keep it simple.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end here, Bo.
Great.
Unless
Again,
you want to cycle. Oh, no, you already cycled back to Lone Survivor.
Yeah. Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me. And
anything you need to shout out? Any people or sponsors you want to shout out? Thanks for support.
I don't have sponsors yet. I actually need to educate myself into getting into that realm, especially if I have a good season this year. Shout out to Kieran for always being neck and neck with me. I hope to see you this Saturday in DC. Shout out to you for putting my workouts together. And then, best of luck to everyone this Saturday.
Awesome. Well, this has been the Obstacle Dominator podcast with Bracken Crocker and Bo Muzikowski. Both of us look for us on the podium this weekend in the DC Spartan. The Obstacle Dominator podcast training plan is on its way in development in final stages, and it's going to be getting to you real soon now. Thanks for tuning in. Have an awesome week.
Have a great one, everyone.
Visit ObstacleDominator.com for show notes, training, and racing resources. And leave your question for Benny and Bracken.